Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama,
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hey, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Ram Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Ram Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Jai Radha Gokulananda, Radha Gokulananda Radhe. Jai Panchatattva, Jai Panchatattva, Jai Panchatattva, Jai Panchatattva. Jai Gauranitai, 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 Jaya Gauranitai. Jaya Prabhupada, 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 Jaya Jaya Prabhupada. Prabhupada, 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 Jaya Jaya Prabhupada. Nitai Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Nitai Gaura Hari Bol. Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Nitai Gaura Hari Bol. श्री श्री राधा गोकुलानंद की, पंचतत्व की, गौर निताय की, शिल प्रभुपाद की, निताय गौर प्रेमानंदे, हरि हरि बोल। जय ओम विष्णुपाद परम परवजचार्य स्तोत्र हिज डिवाइन ग्रेस ऐसी भक्ति वेदांत प्रभुपाद की। जय ओम विष्णुपाद परम परवजचार्य स्तोत्र सत हिज डिवाइन कृष्ण भक्ति सिद्धांत सरस्वती गोस्वामी महाराज शिल प्रभुपाद की। अनंत कोटि वैष्णविंद की, नामचार्य श्री हरिदास ठाकुर की। प्रेम से कहो जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर शिवासरि गौर भक्तविंद की। श्री श्री राधा कृष्ण गोप गोपीनाथ श्याम कुंड राधा कुंड गिरी गोवर्धन की। श्री मथुरा वृंदावन धाम की, श्री नवदीप मायापुर धाम की, जगन्नाथपुरी धाम की, गंगा मई की, यमुना मई की, तुलसी देवी की, भक्ति देवी की, कलिक पावन हरिनाम संकीर्तन की, ट्रांसेंडेंटल बुक डिस्ट्रीब्यूशन की, हरे कृष्ण महामंत्र की, सामवेद भक्तविंद की, पंचतत्व की, श्री श्री राधा गोकुलानंद की, Shri Shri Gaur Nitai ki, Srila Prabhupada ki. All glories to assembled devotees. Hare Krishna. All glories to assembled devotees. All glories to assembled devotees. All glories, all glories, all glories to Shri Guru and Shri Gauranga.
Namaste Narasimhaya. Namaste Narasimhaya. Prahlada Lada Dayane. Prahlada Lada Dayane. Hiranyakasipur Vaksaha. Silatankana khalaye. Ito Narsimho Parato Narsimho. Yato yato yamitato Narsimho. Bahir Narsimho Hridaye Narsimho. Narasimhamadim saranam prapade. Narasimhamadim saranam prapade. Kara Kamalavare Nakam Adbhuta Sringham Dalita Hiranyakasipur Danubringham Keravadita Tarari Rupa Jaya Jagadira Hare. Jaya Jagadisa Hare. Jaya Jagadisa Hare. Keshavadhrita Narahari Rupa Jaya Jagadis Hare. Jaya Jagadis Hare. Jaya Jagadis Hare. Jaya Narsimha Dev, Jaya Narsimha Dev, Narsimha Dev, Jaya Narsimha Dev. Jaya Prahlad Maharaj, Prahlad Maharaj, Prahlad Maharaj, Jaya Prahlad Maharaj. Jaya Lakshmi Narasimha, Jaya Lakshmi Narasimha, Jaya Lakshmi Narasimha, Jaya Lakshmi Narasimha. Prabhupada, 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 Jaya Jaya Prabhupada. Jaya Jaya Prabhupada, 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 Jaya Jaya Prabhupada. Nitai Gaura Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Nitai Gaura Hari Bol. जय श्री श्री विघ्न बरहता नरसिम्हा देव भगवान की, भक्त शिरोमणि श्री प्रहलाद महाराज की, निताई गौर प्रेमानंदे।
Say something first? No. Just straight into Kirtan? Yeah. Is this one? Hare Krishna. Hare Hare Bol. Hare Krishna, everyone. Welcome. Is everyone comfortable? No. There's some space you can come. Maybe I should go like this. Let me come like this. Make more room. And then others can come forward. So thank you so much on a warm, sunny day, sunny afternoon. You've all come, and I hope we can spend some time together discussing a little bit about spiritual wisdom, about Krishna consciousness. We'll sing a little bit together, and hopefully in this way our mind will become enlivened and inspired to become connected to that which is beyond this world, the ultimate spiritual reality. So we're going to sing a beautiful song that most of you will be familiar with. It's called Jaya Radha Madhav Kunja Bihari. And this song is very beautiful because it reminds us that we're only in the material world here on a temporary journey. This world is just like a transit lounge, and ultimately the destination which we're trying to head towards is the spiritual reality. The place in which every step is a dance, every word is a song, the place in which every act is an act driven by love, the place in which all desires are fulfilled, and the place in which all relationships are infused with such selflessness that they fully satisfy the heart. Would you like to go to such a place? Yes. Really? Would you like to go? Yes. So that is Vrindavan. So we will sing a little bit, and then we'll have a bit of a discussion. Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Radha Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivardhari Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivardhari Yashoda Nandana Braja Jana Ranjana Yashoda Nandana Braja Jana Ranjana Yamuna Tira Vanachari Yamuna Tira Vanachari Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivardhari गोपी जन वल्लभा गिरिवरधारी यशोदानंदन ब्रज जन रंजन यशोदानंदन ब्रज जन रंजन यमुना तीरा वनचारी यमुना तीरा वनचारी राधा माधव कुंज बिहारी राधा माधव कुंज बिहारी हरे कृष्णा कृष्ण कृष्ण हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे कृष्णा कृष्ण कृष्ण हरे राम हरे कृष्णा कृष्ण कृष्ण हरे 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 राम 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 हरे 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 कृष्णा कृष्ण कृष्ण हरे 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 राम 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 हरे 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 कृष्णा कृष्ण कृष्ण हरे 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 राम 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 हरे 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 कृष्णा कृष्ण कृष्ण हरे 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 राम 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 हरे 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 कृष्णा कृष्ण कृष्ण हरे 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 राम 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 हरे 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 कृष्णा कृष्ण कृष्ण हरे 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 राम 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 हरे 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 कृष्ण 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे 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 कृष्ण 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Nitai Gaura Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Gaura Hari Bol. Nitai Gaura Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Gaura Hari Bol. Jaya Jaya Prabhupada, 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 Jaya Prabhupada. Jaya Jaya Prabhupada, 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 Jaya Prabhupada. Jai Nitai Gaura Premanande. Om Jnana Timirandhasya Yananjana Shalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Namo Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prasthaya Bhutale Shrimate Bhaktivedanta Swami Niti Namine. Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshatarine Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shrivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Srila Prabhupada ki. Hare Krishna. Thank you so much. Okay, so yeah. So thank you again, everyone, for coming. I don't know if you want to move this, and then you can free up this room, if anyone wants to come. Okay, so we're organizing some fans and other things. Thank you so much for coming. So it's really an honor to be with you all. And what we thought we'd do this afternoon is something a little bit different. Are you ready to do something different? Yes. Yeah, life is full of variety, and variety is the mother of enjoyment, apparently. So what we're going to do today is we're going to have a little bit of an interview. Mohan here. This is Mohan, and yeah, you can give him a Haribol. Mohan has gathered many inquiries that people may have about spiritual life or about things in general. So he's going to field some questions to me. Apparently he's going to challenge me a little bit as well, if he dares. And then we're going to have a little bit of a debate. So we want also all of you to get in the questioning mode. Sometimes when you come here, you just come to accept everything, is it? You come in the mood of acceptance most of the time, isn't it? You don't come in the mood of challenging, do you? Not really. But today we want you to challenge a little bit. We want you to think, well, why is that true? How is that true? Is that really true? Do I really agree with that? Because sometimes it's good to ask questions. You know what Einstein said once? Never stop questioning. Curiosity has its own reason for existing. The moment you stop asking questions is the moment you stop growing. Of course, some people don't want to grow in life. I'll be happy not to stop growing. No, we must ask questions. Even when you accept Krishna consciousness, it's still good to ask questions. Aren't all of our scriptures based on questions and answers? Isn't it? Arjuna had so many questions for Krishna. Therefore the Bhagavad Gita came about. Parikshit had so many questions for Sukadev Goswami. Therefore the Srimad Bhagavatam came about. We even have a book in our movement called Perfect Questions, Perfect Answers. Once we had a stall at Rath Yatra and it said Perfect Questions, Perfect Answers, and I was sitting underneath it and someone came up to me and said, he just pointed like that and he said, who should I get married to? I don't know if I can give a perfect answer to that, and I don't know if that's a perfect question. It's a nice question. Of course, they once asked Socrates, should I get married? And you know what Socrates said? Definitely you should get married, he said to the person. The person said, wow, you said that with such surety. He said, definitely you should get married. He said, why? So Socrates said, look, after your marriage, if it's a good marriage, you'll be very happy. And if the marriage is a little rocky, don't worry, you'll become a philosopher like me. Either way you win. So many questions are there, so we should always question. So Mohan here is going to field some questions. And then we're going to open it up to all of you in case you may have some questions. So will you come up with some questions? Will you? Will you? Please do. Then it will be very nice. Okay, so Mohan, over to you. Is that mic on? Mic's not on. Ooh, now it's on.
Hare Krishna. Okay, so this is a fantastic opportunity. I remember once when we were in the Brahmacharya ashram and you told me that the quality of your question determines the quality of your life. So yes, it's a really wonderful opportunity to be able to question you. So my first question that I have in mind is that, you know, we were speaking about it upstairs, and even there's a lot of curiosity, especially when you go out on books. Everybody wants to contribute to this society. Everybody wants to make a difference. Everybody wants to make a change. And you, even yourself, mentioned that you wanna make a difference. You want to make an impact. You want to make a change. So why, in particular, a monk life? It doesn't really seem like much is happening there. Why did you choose to become a monk? How do you feel that by being a monk that you're able to contribute to the world and to the society? And it may seem funny, but you know, not a lot of leaders actually, even nowadays, they're very dominant with power, with whatever gets the instant result. So why monk? Why did you choose to be a monk?
One person once asked me, I was walking along the street and he said, hey, what do you have to give up to become a monk? So I said, just give up suffering. But let me rewind. First, let's understand how to make the world a better place. Everyone wants to make the world a better place, but how do we actually make the world a better place? Has the world actually become a better place over the last 100 years? Has it? Maybe we have better technology. Maybe we have better economies. Maybe we have more entertainment and more gadgets. But has the world actually become a better place? They say we have taller buildings but shorter tempers, wider highways but narrower minds. We have more conveniences but less time. We're more connected but we're further apart. People buy more but they enjoy less. We've increased our possessions but reduced our values. So in what way has the world actually become a better place? Along with all of the advancement in technology and other things, the world needs spiritual knowledge. Because without spiritual knowledge, all of those things won't make people happier. And if you don't believe me about whether people are happier or not, just go out there and see the numbers of people who suffer with such problems inside their own self because they, in some sense, have many things but still have a vacuum within. So therefore, the first question, before even answering your question, is the way to really make the world a better place is through spiritual knowledge. And now then, why did I become a monk? Because it's not that you have to be a monk to make the world a better place. Anyone can imbibe spiritual knowledge in their life, even if they're living in the world, in a householder life, and they can share that knowledge and make the world a better place. But the life of a monk is a privileged opportunity. I consider myself to have a privileged opportunity to spend all of my time just trying to share spiritual knowledge with others. I've been given the opportunity to be free from many other social obligations, which allows me to give my full time for sharing spirituality with others. So how are monks making a difference? Because monks are giving spiritual knowledge in the world. And in a world in which there's so much advancement but a lack of spiritual knowledge, we find that people don't actually become happier. So I'm here just to make you happy.
So my next question is, and it's not on here, but it's just to add to what you said, isn't that selfish to some degree? Because you're giving spiritual wisdom, spiritual knowledge, but what about those people that are in dire and practical situations and circumstances that are difficult to overcome? It kind of brings me back to that quote that if you give a man a fish, we're vegetarian, I know, but if you give a man a fish, he'll be able to only survive and live for a day. But teach someone how to do something and they'll be able to take care of themselves. So how is knowledge, giving knowledge, enough? Especially for someone that may be homeless or that may be going through depression or suicidal thoughts or those kind of mental health challenges.
Very good point. So we try to assist people on all levels. If someone's starving, we don't just go up to them and say, don't worry, here's a Bhagavad Gita. I mean, that's nice. But we will also give them some prasadam. We'll also give them some food. If someone has some kind of difficulty in terms of their mental or emotional state, then we'll try to offer assistance or at least guide them to somewhere where they can get assistance. However, there are many institutions in this world which are giving physical and mental and emotional help, but there are very few which are giving genuine spiritual wisdom. And so, yes, we will help people on immediate levels, but our USP is to give spiritual knowledge, because that's what other people are not giving. And we give both side by side. Who's more important in a hospital, the nurse or the doctor? What would you say? The nurse. He thinks the nurse is more important. Does everyone agree? Both. You haven't answered the question? Said which is more important? Then you say both. Which one is more important? Doctor or nurse? Both? Neither. Neither. Both. Doctor, which one? Both. Both. You are right, but I had to just extend it a bit. The nurse, if you have the doctor, by the time, especially on the NHS, by the time the doctor comes about, if there are no nurses, you may be pretty finito. Because the nurses take care of you on a day-to-day level. So nurses are important, because otherwise you won't survive long enough to see the doctor and have the operation. At the same time, if you only have nurses but you don't have any doctor, you live a happy life in hospital your whole life. You'll never get out of the place. Because the nurses can't give you a permanent solution. The doctor can. So is more important? Both are important. So spiritual knowledge is like the doctor. That's going to get you out of this world. But then we also offer other temporary help which helps people here. But have you noticed, generally, who are there more of? Nurses or doctors? More nurses generally. Less doctors. What is it? Harder to become a doctor or a nurse? Who gets paid more, a doctor or a nurse? Doctor. So doctors are more. So spiritual knowledge is like that. It's very rare. So therefore we focus there, because that's what the world needs.
So much for that, Maharaj. That sounds good. Maybe I might come back to that later on, because I'm still not satisfied. So in the meanwhile, you know, 20 years of your life you spent as a celibate, and recently all aware that you took the renunciate life. What made you take on that decision? What made you that choice? Why did you choose to? What's the difference in the two?
Yeah, so nowadays you can see I walk around with one of these. It's a good weapon. And it's, you know, people tend to pay attention when you hold one of these. What is it exactly? This is the staff of a renunciate. And in the Vedic system, there are types of monks. One is called a brahmachari, and another one is called a sannyasi. So brahmachari means a student monk, and sannyasi means a lifelong renunciate. So it's many people will become a student monk for some part of their life, and then, as you were, and then at some point in time they will make a transition and then get married and have a very spiritual life through family life, and that's wonderful. And there are some monks who will decide that after their student training that they want to live their entire life as monks. And when they do that, they take a vow known as sannyas, in which they close all the other doors and they say, for the rest of this life, this is what I'll do. I will not deviate from that. I will remain focused. When you take sannyas, then you hold one of these staffs. In this staff is 4 bamboo rods. I got them from B&Q. Normally I'm supposed to get them from a sacred forest, but what to do? So it's got 4 bamboo rods. They're joined by 12 pieces of string. 3 of the rods represent the body, mind and words. The 4th rod, which is slightly shorter, represents the soul. So all these rods are bound together, and it signifies that the sannyasi, or the lifelong renunciate, tries to dedicate their body, mind, words in the service of God, in the service of others, giving spirituality and trying to raise the consciousness of the world. And so a sannyasi carries this around, not literally everywhere. Someone asked me the other day, do you sleep with that in your bed? It's like, not exactly, but so it's a vow. And then someone may say, but what's the need to make that vow? Well, it's a commitment. It's like, what's the need to take a marriage vow? Anyone here took a marriage vow? A few people looking very like miserable. Like, yeah. And it's not that bad. You took a marriage vow. Why did you take a marriage vow? You could have just been together for your whole life. Why did you take a marriage vow? It's a system, okay? Commitment. It is an exhibition of your commitment to the person. It's an exhibition of love. It's a sense that, no, we invest in this relationship. So, sannyas vow is that. Just that instead of getting married to a person, you get married to a stick. Not just married to a stick, but married to the mission of trying to uplift others. So, Krishna in the Bhagavad Gita actually gives a deeper definition of sannyas. And in Sanskrit, what he says, Anashrita karmafalam karma karota sa sannyasi cha yogi cha niragnirna cha kriyaha. Who is actually a sannyasi? Is it one who carries a stick? Is it one who dresses like this? Is it one who takes a formal vow of renunciation? Krishna says no. The real sannyasi, the real renunciate, is the one who has given up all selfish desires. When you give up your selfish desire, that is actually the real meaning of sannyas. Actually, sannyas is not just dress, it's just an external change, but it's actually an internal change of heart. And sometimes someone may be living in a married life, but they may be more of a sannyasi than even a sannyasi if they live in a very selfless way. Does that?
Yes, Mark, you're quite young. So don't you find it overwhelming to have taken that sort of stage and phase of your life? Isn't there anything that you regret? Especially what you think of in the future. You may think that one day, I would like, married
41.
or whatever.
41 young? It's young, I guess, for sannyasi. Prabhupada, once he was in India and he was giving sannyas to a 26-year-old. And one reporter said, sannyas is for old people. Sannyas you take in your old age. Prabhupada said, yes, you're right. But Prabhupada said, what does it mean to be old? So the reporter, he couldn't answer. He was a young person in age. So Prabhupada said, can you guarantee? Prabhupada said, old means close to death. So Prabhupada looked at this young reporter. He said, can you guarantee you will live longer than me? The reporter said, no, I die tomorrow. So Prabhupada said, therefore, you are old, I am old, he is old, everyone is old, because life is so unpredictable that we don't know what will happen. Old means close to death. So therefore, Gandhi, he said, if there's something good and you can get it today, why wait till tomorrow? So there's a sense in which when an opportunity comes in spiritual life, there may be some good discrimination in dating. There's another side of it where we seize the day and take the opportunity. And is it a risk? Is it a risk? Yes, it's a risk. It's a risk to take sannyas. Is it a risk to not take sannyas? Yeah, it's a risk. Is it a risk to get married? You said it. Is it a risk to get married? Everything's a risk. Everything is a risk. Is it a risk to sit on that chair? I'm not preparing you for anything, but yes, everything is a risk. Sometimes we think not doing something is safe and doing something is a risk. That is a complete illusion. Did you know that not doing something is just as risky as doing something? Do you agree with me? So, come and join me. It's risky too. No, I'm only joking. Everyone has their one.
Especially for some of us, not many of us, we may think that the life of a sannyasi is very easy, just travel and just preach. But what does it really consist of other than that? Well, how do you usually spend your time?
Is it easy? I think every life has its difficulties and its perks. Yeah, I was just in the Swiss Alps. That was nice. What's there? Sannyas. Okay, let's go to the Alps. It was nice. And yes, it does have a difficulty. Sometimes you're traveling a lot. Sometimes you don't know where will you be day after day. Moving all the time. But there are many nice things. The ultimate, you're asking me what do I do as a sannyasi? So as a sannyasi, we try to, as I mentioned, share spiritual knowledge with people, giving lectures, but also by discussing with people one-to-one, spending time with each other, empowering, inspiring each other. We write books. We also manage. Yeah, so management is also what to do. You can't escape. We're doing some management. So we do many different things. Every life will have its difficulties and its perks. So we take the road with the smooth and we make the best opportunities.
Okay, so I'm now going to ask you a question a little bit more to do with the problems of the world.
Yeah, we'll do 5 more minutes and we can open it out to everyone.
When I came into the Krishna consciousness movement and in the ashram, we're talking a lot about ahimsa. You know, how we have our own cow, non-violent, particularly the cows, and how we drink ahimsa milk, we try and stick to that. But nowadays, in some temples, we see that they're actually buying milk from shops. That means, to some degree, and I come across this, someone said that you're just supporting the cruelty to animals. How can you really explain that? How can you sort of that? So we're trying to preach a philosophy of don't be cruel to animals, especially cows. Yes, but still we're buying.
Yeah. Thank you for this question. If we look at the world today and the way the cows are treated, then in the factory farming, cows are milked, often in a very cruel way. And the cruelty on top of that, when the cows stop giving milk, then they're slaughtered. So then someone may say, how can you support such a thing by drinking milk? How can you support that industry? You should become vegan. So there's a few points to consider here. The first thing is that humans and animals and humans, and especially the cows, have a natural relationship. So when the mother stops giving milk, then the human is continued to be nourished by milk, which is the miracle food, the milk of the cows. Therefore, the cow is considered the mother of humankind. And therefore, it's very natural for humans to drink milk. Not just physically, but Srila Prabhupada explained even on the brain tissue, the milk is nourishing, so you can spiritually advance as well. So milk is a very, very important part of our diet. But now the question is, when that milk is produced in that way, is it still a good thing to have? There are different opinions on this even in the Hare Krishna movement. Many of our devotees refuse to drink milk from the supermarkets. They will not drink milk. Some devotees say they will only have ahimsa milk. You understand ahimsa milk? That means certain farms which have been created across the country where cows are taken care of properly, they're milked in a very kind way, in a loving way, and when they stop giving milk, they continue to be cared for till the natural end of their life comes. So like this, we have ahimsa farms, and we want to expand more. So some devotees will only take ahimsa milk. So the first thing is that different devotees do approach this in different ways. But now your question is, why in our temples do we still have milk? Because there are two things to consider here. The first thing is that milk is still an important part of our diet for spiritual reasons, and not everyone will have access to Ahimsa milk, so we take that milk because of its benefit in terms of our ongoing nourishment and spiritual development. However, at the same time, we are making an active contribution and effort to create a different alternative. Therefore, what many devotees do when they buy a pint of milk from the supermarket, they say, for every pint of milk that I buy, I'm going to set aside, say, 20 pence that goes towards cow protection and creating Ahimsa farms. And if everyone did that and said, for every milk, because some cruelty has gone into this, I should make a solution, and they set aside something for every pint of milk. If everyone did that, we would have a central fund which would then create many farms, which would then create the positive alternative. So as devotees in the Hare Krishna movement, we're not just looking at how to abstain ourselves from it, but we're ultimately looking at how to make a positive alternative. And so, yes, but you're right, even many devotees will avoid milk. That's a personal choice. We also know that when a cow gives milk and it's offered to Krishna, then that milk, which is then offered to Krishna, gives the cow great spiritual benefit as well. So even in all of that cruelty, the cow will still get benefit. But we should not use these arguments to divest ourselves of the responsibility to make a positive alternative, and we're trying to do that.
Thank you so much. One last question, and perhaps maybe then we can open up for everyone else. Sure. So this may be also a very controversial one.
Okay.
And then it's all So in Shastra we see that it's a very sort of male dominative acharyas and Prabhupada says very intense things sometimes about women. So it kind of almost seems like he set certain rules for women and another rules for men. And for someone that may be into the Krishna consciousness movement, it may almost seem like we have a very negative perspective of women in general. So again, how do we sort of clear that sort of doubt in people's mind?
Yeah. The first thing is that when we look at a lineage of teachers, then we find amongst generations that some of the most exalted personalities within our lineages were ladies. For example, even here today, we have the teachings of Queen Kunti, which we read. We have Janava Mata, who was the wife of Nityananda Prabhu, who was considered the leader of the Vaishnavas of her time. We find even in Srila Prabhupada's time that Srila Prabhupada gave ladies very high responsibilities. He sat while they lectured in front of him, and they became teachers of Krishna consciousness. And so when we look at the position of ladies within our Vedic culture, we have to see all the different angles. Of course, India had its culture in which there were certain gender roles. And sometimes what has been done over the centuries is that those traditional gender roles have been taken and then they've been exploited and misinterpreted and misapplied. One thing we have to realize is that there's a difference between men and ladies. When we talk about gender equality, we should not try to reduce gender equality to gender sameness. Sometimes the way in which they try to create equality in the world today is by trying to make everything artificially the same. But that's not an intelligent way of doing it. Men and women are different. Men and women have different strengths and different weaknesses. And therefore we have to look at the physical frame which we've been given and then find the best way in which we can empower each other to then use that body in the service of God to ultimately reach perfection. So basically what we're saying is that Prabhupada gave opportunities, the highest opportunities to ladies, just like here, we are worshipping on the altar, and in traditional Vedic culture, Indian culture, ladies would not be on the altar. But Srila Prabhupada gave opportunity, recognizing that our times are different and opportunity should be there. So we're a living tradition, and we're moving and we're evolving, and in this way Srila Prabhupada's movement is about empowering and giving everyone the full opportunity to utilize their talents and abilities. So those are some thoughts.
Thank you, Maharaj. So maybe anyone may have question from the audience.
Oh my God, no questions. Okay, there's a question there. Okay.
Hare Krishna. So I was wondering that why out of all of the philosophical traditions of the world you landed on Krishna consciousness, and why you've dedicated your life to that, and also if you could share a little bit about why you believe it to be true. I feel everyone could benefit from hearing that.
Okay, thank you. Very nice question. We believe that every religion in the world, if practiced with sincerity, can lead you closer to God. Srila Prabhupada, when he went around the world, he met Christians and he said, just be a better Christian. He met Muslims and told them, be a better Muslim. Whatever religious tradition we find ourselves in, if we practice it to a higher level of purity and sincerity, it will lead to a deeper connection with God. So in that sense, we see that there is a unity between all the religions in the world in their diversity. However, we do also see that there is an evolution amongst these religions. They all can give you spiritual benefit, but they all have different levels of detail in their revelation of the ultimate absolute truth. I could have a pocket dictionary here, and I could have a complete full Cambridge dictionary here, and they're both right. However, they have a different level of detail. So when I studied all the different religions, and I did undertake a study of different religions, when I came to the Vedic tradition, the Bhagavad Gita, the Srimad Bhagavatam, then I saw a level of detail, a level of insight, a level of intimacy of relationship with God that, to be honest, never find anywhere else. In our literatures, it doesn't just tell you God is great. It tells you what God looks like, what He does every single day, what His relationships with His devotees are, what He eats, and how to actually interact with Him in a very real way. And so that leads on to your second question, which is why did I then take up Krishna consciousness? Because not only was it philosophically the most advanced theology I had encountered, but simultaneously it was a theology in which I felt, here I can experience God. Here I can connect with God and feel and perceive the direct presence of God in my life. And that was exciting. So Krishna consciousness is not just a religion which is meant to make you believe in God. That's just the beginning. This path of Krishna consciousness is meant to empower you to perceive the presence of God at every step. And that's the great offer of Krishna consciousness. Srila Prabhupada presented it as a religion. He presented it as a spiritual science. And therefore, there will be a direct observation of everything that you're reading in the books. Hope that helps. Hare Krishna. Yes.
Hare Krishna Prabhu. Thanks for wonderful class. Question and answer. My question is, I saw your book. The book, the name is Gita 3. So why is it only 3? Why not 2 or why 4? It's a serious question. Why is it only 3? It could be 4,
Yeah, so
5,
it could be
1.
4 or 5. But this is Gita 3 because what we do in this book is we go through the 18 chapters of the Gita 3 times. Maybe in the future I'll write a book and go through it 5 times and then we'll call it Gita 5. But because in this book what we do, we go through the 18 chapters of the Gita 3 times. When I go through the first time, the 18 chapters, I try to share with you how every chapter of the Gita teaches you to think differently to how you've been taught growing up. In the second time I go through the 18 chapters of the Gita, I try to share with you how in every chapter of the Gita, Krishna teaches you how to do amazing things. He teaches you how to be determined, how to find love, how to have the best relationships, how to free yourself from stress. So that's the second part. And in the third time when I go through the 18 chapters of the Gita, I try to show you how in every chapter of the Gita, Krishna removes every conceivable excuse you could come up with as to why you can't practice spiritual life. Someone may say, I can't do it because I don't have time. Krishna removes that. Someone may say, I can't do it because I'm not intelligent enough. Krishna removes that. Someone may say, I can't do it because I want to do something practical to help the world. Krishna removes that. He removes every excuse you can come up with. And so, this section has, this book has 3 sections. And therefore it's Gita 3.
Thank you, Prabhuji. Hare Krishna.
Thank you. I didn't plant that question so I could promote the book, by the way. But thank you for letting me do that.
Hare Krishna Maharaj, Dandavat Pranam. It's good to see you again after Sankirtan Fest in London.
Yes.
You graced us with your presence there.
Yes.
Yes, I remember seeing you there and paying obeisance. Yeah, my question is basically, I've got friends that are in the restaurant trade and they deal with meat, but deep down they really want to be spiritual. But obviously, working in that trade, it's very hard to get out of that trade and practice the spirituality. And sometimes they feel demoralized, but deep down they've got how should I put it? They've got intention to actually really go forward towards Krishna. What advice would you give them?
Yeah, you know, like we come to Krishna consciousness once our life is already set up in a certain way. And then you realize, oh my God, this is not compatible. Have you ever been driving on a motorway and then you get so distracted that you miss your exit? Isn't that annoying? And then it's like, oh no, I've just missed the exit. Yeah, it normally happens, right? And then all you want to do in that moment is just like turn around. But that would not be very good for your health, right? It's very dangerous. You can't do that. So then when you miss the exit on the motorway, what do you have to do? You just have to wait. You have to say, okay, I got to drive. And all the time you're driving, you're thinking, but I'm going away from where I'm meant to be going. But what to do? You have to drive. Then you get to the next exit. Then you slow down. Then you come off. Then you go on the roundabout. You come back. You get back onto the motorway. Then you start driving back. And then you take the exit again. Because you can't just turn your car in one moment like that. Life is like that. We came to Krishna consciousness and it's like, oh my God, I missed the exit. And now you got all these things in your life, bad job, this, that. But how can you just stop working? You need to pay your bills. So what we need to do is be patient and realize that step by step, I have to make my life Krishna conscious. If someone is a butcher, that's not very good for Krishna consciousness. But they may have a very good desire. So what they need to do eventually is start going into the newspaper and looking at some other vacancies for other jobs. And gradually try to move yourself out of that. In the time when you're taking to move yourself out of that situation, Krishna is kind. Krishna understands that you can't do it immediately. So he will not hold it against you. But as long as you're making the endeavor to then go towards a life where you're not involved in such things. So nowadays there are so many jobs. Nowadays there are so many ways to survive. So gradually, if we're caught in something like that, we have to make a step-by-step plan to try to come out of that. Is that fair?
Hare Krishna Prabhu, down over front. Thank you so much for that. Quite clear.
So step by step. It's not that tomorrow, but step by step. Because you see, in meat eating, multiple parties get the reaction. The person who kills the animal, the person who transports the animal, the person who sells the animal, the person who's working in that environment, the person who buys the thing, the person who eats it, all are involved in the karmic chain. So we look at our life and we think, you know what, I already got a heavy load of karma on my back. I don't know if I want to add to it more unnecessarily. So we have to just be careful a little bit. Like, try to live a karma-free life. Yeah, yes. Just tell me, Prabhu, when we need to stop. Yeah. Hare Krishna.
Can you hear me? Yeah. Okay. Hare Krishna. Thank you, Maharaj. My question is, I'm going to be very open and reflective here. You once we mentioned upstairs that once someone told Prabhupada, I want to go to a nightclub and preach. I work in the corporate world, and often, initially I had a bit of guilt around this, and then I found myself going to bars. I don't drink, but striking spiritual conversations there. And I realized a lot of times the people who are seeking Krishna consciousness without knowing are the ones that are actually at the bars. There's something that they're seeking, or maybe overcompensating it with alcohol. But the more I went and the more I spoke with people, a part of me, I guess this is part of my false ego, started saying, they're in Maya. And then I have to remind myself, hey, Krishna has a plan for everybody. I need to be patient. I need to understand where they're coming from. What do you think we can do as devotees to understand where the other person's coming from? In a way, I'd say I'm lucky because I used to drink, I used to eat meat. So sometimes when they strike certain conversations, I know why they're saying what they're saying.
You can relate to it.
I can relate very well. But now, that was years ago, 3 years ago, 4 years ago. And now I'm like, they're in Maya. But so am I. How can I, one, remind myself that, be patient, try and understand what this person's need is, as you mentioned earlier upstairs. And secondly, I'm still new to the movement, but how can I develop myself, how can I raise my own consciousness in a way to firstly understand their need, but also address and answer what they might be looking for? Thank you.
Yes, very reflective question. Yes, people are everywhere. We can't stereotype. Maybe we should be over there in that park, having the program there. Probably a few people questioning there. You see, one who really wants to share Krishna consciousness has to be completely non-judgmental. If you treat someone as they are, they will remain as they are. But if you treat them as they can and should be, they'll become what they can and should be. A devotee is always encouraging, inspiring, empowering. Srila Prabhupada had grown up in impeccable Vedic culture. And then he just came down to the Skid Row in New York. And he was just living with people who were on LSD, people who were into free love, and people who were just doing every nefarious activity under the sun. And Prabhupada just lived with them so naturally. There was no sense of holier than thou. Just so kind. One of Srila Prabhupada's disciples, he went to jail. So he called Prabhupada. And he said, Prabhupada, I've been really stupid. Prabhupada said, don't worry, we're all stupid. He said, no, Srila Prabhupada, I'm in jail. Prabhupada said, don't worry, Krishna was born in jail. Then he said, so Prabhupada said, what was the crime? He said, Prabhupada, I was dealing drugs. Prabhupada said, don't worry, I was also dealing drugs. Because Prabhupada was a pharmacist. So he said, don't worry, I was also bit different drugs, but so Prabhupada was so kind. He was so encouraging. He was so non-judgmental. He never saw all of the conditionings, all the limitations, all the anarthas, but he saw a spark of sincerity. And what did Prabhupada do? He fanned the spark. He fanned the spark. So, as ones who are trying to go in the world and help others, we have to try to see where there is potential, where there is good, where there's an entrance point, and then use that to try and resolve all the other negativity that is there, all the bad things. So, yes, we should not judge anyone. We were also. They say every saint had a past, and every sinner has a future. I saw that in front of a church once. Every saint has a past, and every sinner has a future. Be kind. You're already doing that. And do it at the bars. Maybe you'll find a few people. That will be nice. We need everyone, everywhere. Yeah. The devotees used to do Gauranga, isn't it? They used to do the Gauranga stickers. They used to go everywhere. Clubs, pubs, bridges. On all the bridges, have you seen? Gauranga. So they stopped one person once on the street. They gave him a book and he said, before you go, can you say Gauranga? He said, Gauranga. Yeah, Gauranga. I know Gauranga. He said, you know Gauranga? He goes, yeah, I know Gauranga. That's the company that makes all the motorway bridges. Really? Well, not exactly. Not exactly. But Gauranga does build a bridge. He builds a bridge, isn't it, to the spiritual world. So it's very kind. So the devotees will go here, there and anywhere. Prabhupada just was willing to go anywhere. Lower East Side, New York, 1965. That was not a good place to go. If you think Moss Side is bad, you ain't seen nothing yet. Prabhupada went. That was the height of compassion. Allen Ginsberg, you know Allen Ginsberg? He's the beat poet. He's quite eccentric. But he loved Prabhupada. And he said it was the height of compassion that the Swami, all of the Swamis at that time, they were going to uptown New York. And they were going for the high class audience, the yogis, But Prabhupada said no. He was in uptown New York, but he said no. I'm going to go down to the depths of the Lower East Side. So once Brahmananda Prabhu, he was in Vrindavan. You know Brahmananda Prabhu? He was Prabhupada's early disciple. He was talking about Prabhupada with such love, and then one devotee put his hand up and he said, the way you talk about Prabhupada, it seems as though for you Prabhupada is God. And Brahmananda, he said, no, Prabhupada is not God. He said, nowadays, I think Prabhupada is greater than God. Because Prabhupada came down to the Lower East Side to save me. And then he just began crying. Krishna came, but Krishna didn't come to the Lower East Side. Prabhupada came and he carried Krishna to the Lower East Side. So that's so kind. So we must be kind. Hare Krishna.
Thank you so much.
I see many hands. I don't know where to go. There's one here, and then Ellis is there, and then here.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna.
Sannyasi means renunciation. Renunciation from the world as well as from the relationships. So my question to you is that, is the sannyasi still a son to his parents? Does he still have son's duties towards his parents? And if no, then how fair is it towards the parents? And in cases when he's the only son? And if yes, then how would that sannyasi be able to be in that mode of renunciation? Because no matter the parents are, more senior to him, but they might not be in the same state as that person, and they might bring him or drag him towards their materialistic problems. So just wanted to ask that.
Yes, thank you for asking. Yes, this is a very important point. When one takes sannyas, then they live away from home. It's said that the sannyasi gives up the world of family life in order to embrace the whole world as his family. But where does that leave your mother and father? Your mother and father who did so much for you, who sacrificed, who cared for you. Of course, when you take sannyas, it's not that you can't meet your mother or father again. Of course, there are some orders like that, but in ISKCON, it's not that we can't meet our mother or father. So, I saw my mom a few weeks ago, and I see my mother regularly. Although I don't live at home, I don't stay there overnight, because I have a certain path I'm following. Now when one takes sannyas, then what they do is they make sure that there's enough provisions in place so that their parents will be taken care of. And that is for each sannyasi to make all of those arrangements before they take that step. So it's not that, it's not cold, it's not ungrateful, it's not neglectful that we just walk away and we just leave them hanging. No, we will make an arrangement so that they will be cared for. However, what the sannyasi or the renunciate does is that they're actually giving back to their parents in the greatest way. Because what is the real duty of a son or a daughter? It's to take care on a physical level, is to take care on an emotional level, but the real duty of a son or daughter is actually to help their parents spiritually as well. Whatever bhakti you do, whatever devotion you do, that will be for the benefit of your parents also. Isn't it? It's said that by the devotion of Prahlad, how many generations of his family were liberated just by his devotion. So, when I left home and left my parents, it was difficult, naturally, and it was emotional for them. They want to see you. Mother wants to see you married. Full stop. One time my mom, she looked at me. I could said it with such sincerity. She was so frustrated, but it was very sweet. She looked at me and she said, "Can't you just be normal?" And I thought, Mom, it's gone too far, I've lost it. I can't do it now. So actually, motherly affection. Prabhupada said the purest type of love in this world is the love between a mother and a child. I thought about that one time, that in my life, every single relationship changed. My father, it changed. With my guru, it changed. With even devotees, it changed. But the only one relationship in my life which has never changed to this day is my relationship with even Krishna. It changes. Mother. When I go home now to see my mom, the first thing she asks me, "Where's your laundry?" if I don't go home without something for her to wash, I won't hear the end. Sometimes I take clean clothes just for her to wash, because she wants to wash something. That's the service spirit of a mother. So, yes, anyway, in answer to your question, yes, we can still see our parents. Number 2, make provisions so that they will be cared for. And number 3, we realize that actually what we're doing is the greatest service to them. Because hopefully, if we do anything useful in our life, which hopefully some more years to try and do something useful, if I do something useful by Krishna's grace, then the benefit will go to her. But still, having said all of that, still for a mother to hear what another mother has to go through like that, it will be tough. Even Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's mother, isn't it? We have the painting, sannyas. We have the sannyas painting here. Even the Supreme Lord's mother, when he took sannyas, she was crying and crying and crying and crying. Once we met a sannyasi in Venezuela. He was a sannyasi and he had 22 siblings, 22 brothers and sisters. Right? So he was the 23rd. Took sannyas. And he said, you know what? When I took sannyas, my mother cried and cried and cried. And he's like, you got 22 other brothers and sisters. One becomes a sannyasi. Hare Krishna. That's good. She said, even then my mother cried, and it's a bond. So she's happy. I think she's happy if she's watching online. Happy. Krishna. Yes. We are going on a long time. I mean, I'm okay, but it's like everyone's here. I don't want to settle. It's kind of hot. Fine? Okay.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
The question I want to ask about physical and material desires and wants. I'm fairly new to the movement, so excuse me if I'm ignorant to anything. But this is my understanding at the moment. So with physical wants and desires, like it was trying to understand for myself really, kind of what is kind of the best way to go about it. So like I was in absolutes, meaning that I'm not allowed to have any physical material wants or desires. Not allowed. It's kind of shunned upon. Just how I viewed it as I read through some text. So I guess I just appreciate like your point on that. Your point that I've now come to myself from my own kind of question was it's okay to have those wants and desires, but you don't become attached to the want and desires themselves. But I appreciate your thoughts on that.
Yeah, we have desires in this world. That, for example, here we talk about sannyas and way feel that serve and inspire each other, that they all it contributes to your spirituality. Some to have a career. Some people are career people. For me, it's like I graduated from university. The only job I ever had in life was I was a baggage handler at Heathrow. Because after I graduated, I needed to get enough money to go to India. So I'm a baggage handler at Heathrow. You know, people who wreck your luggage. I didn't do that. I saw people do it. In 2 months at Heathrow Airport working as a baggage handler, I read the whole Chaitanya Charitamrita on the job. It was the best job. In an 8-hour shift, you just 3 planes. It takes about 3 hours. 5 hours, you just sit and read. So I was sitting by the runway. Terminal 2 runway, you know those buggies? I was sitting in a on the side of a runway in a buggy. Read Chaitanya. It was a good life, I have to say. I read more in those few months than I read in my life. Amazing. Anyway, so you learn to use your desire. Some people are career people. So then be the best. Do good in your career. And then when you rise to the heights of your career success, use that influence to spread spirituality in the world. George Harrison was an incredible musician. So when he wanted to join the movement, what did Prabhupada tell him? Don't. Prabhupada said, you don't need to be initiated by me. You're already his son. Hari means Krishna. You're already the son of God. You just make music and introduce people to Krishna through music. So then that's what he did. I want to see you. I really want to see you. But it takes so long. These songs, how many people got connected? So yeah, use your desires, redirect them in such a way that they will bring great opportunities to advance yourself spiritually. You're talented. Krishna has given you so many abilities. Tej in front of you is a musician, so then he makes music for Krishna. Yeah. One day you can ask him to perform. It's good. So everyone has their talents. That helps. Yeah, I think we should maybe. It's time has gone on. Thank you.
His Holiness Keshav Maharaj ki. So let's thank Maharaj. 3 very loud Haribol. Haribol! 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 Thank you, Maharaj, and also all of your servants, because we your servants are, you brought 3 servants with you, 3 friends, 3 servants. So thank you so much for being with us yesterday and today. It was very, very knowledge. We request you to keep coming to Manchester whenever, yeah, regularly. Maharaj is very talented, as you can see. He dedicated his 20 years of life full time in Krishna consciousness. So he had several books, around 10 books, and among 10 books, we got 2 titles here today. One is book Bhagavan, summary of entire Srimad Bhagavatam. Srimad Bhagavatam consists of 18,000 verses and so many volumes. If you can't study that, at least you begin with this. Summary Bhagavatam, book Bhagavatam, and Gita 3. Maharaj mentioned why it is 3, why it is not 4, 5, 6 or what. So Gita 3 is available. That Maharaj presented entire Gita in an interactive way and in a practical way. We can use that Gita knowledge in our daily life. Prabhu has got some books with him. If anybody wants to take a book, buy a book, please see him, and Maharaj is happy to sign today. So once again, thank you so much, Maharaj, for that. Hare Krishna. So thank you also everyone for joining us today. We have regular programs like this every Sunday, starting from 12 till 3 o'clock, where we deliver discourse on Vedic wisdom, and also we'll have kirtan, and at the end there will be a feast as well. So if you're not part of our communication group, please kindly join our WhatsApp group. You can go to our website or Facebook. There will be a link to our WhatsApp. Please kindly join. Thank you. We also run regular youth programs. Sumedha, would you like to mention something about youth program?
Hare Krishna. So we're very fortunate to be in the association of Keshav Maharaj today, and he's inspired the youth that have come and the rest of the congregation. So again, I would like to really request the devotees to please take Maharaj's books. These books really allow us to understand Krishna consciousness in a way, in a society that we live in, a very practical way. In terms of the youth, the programs we have in Pandav Sena, Manchester right now, we have Kirtan workshops every Sunday from 12 to 1. So for those of you interested in training in Kirtan, Kartals, Mridanga and Harmonium are being taught upstairs in the library room 12 to 1. And then from 1 to 2, parallel to the Sunday Feast lecture downstairs, we will have a youth sessions upstairs. Currently we are having a game session, G-A-M-E, Gita actually made easy. So we're not actually playing any games, I'm sorry. But we're looking at how the philosophy of the Bhagavad Gita can be applied in today's life, and especially targeted for the youth, so those who are studying or working. It'll be very useful there. And we also have reading sanghas online, so if you're not able to commute to temple, we have Zoom sessions throughout the week. Please contact myself. I'll be here in temple today, and we can send the details. And we have many other activities, retreats, workshops, events. We have Janmashtami coming up, for example, and we have a variety of services. Our national team is going to Spain, where we get to spend some more time with Maharaj. And like this, we have a lot of events to make Krishna conscious, exciting, practical, and interactive for the youth. So please get in contact. Hari Bol, Hare Krishna.
So a couple of very quick upcoming events. We all know about our major festival in at Jain Samaj. But we will have a program here in the temple starting from 5 a.m. onwards. There will be a full program including Bhagavatam class in the temple. Many devotees, they prefer to come and attend Mangalarti at 5 o'clock. So there will be a program here, please do so. And in the evening, the program at Jain Samaj starts at 7 p.m. onwards, and it goes until midnight, and there will be a feast after midnight. Following on from that, Saturday, we have appearance day of His Divine Grace Srila Prabhupada. We will be celebrating his appearance day, Prabhupada appearance day in the temple on Saturday, starting from 10:30 a.m. For these festivals, we are expecting a budget of £3,000. And if anybody is willing to make a kind donation, any of that amount, please see me, or otherwise you can make a direct payment into our bank by going into our website, where you can find our account details. That's it from my side. Now we will... Oh yes, sorry. London Rath Yatra. So it falls on 4th September, which is a Sunday, and it is also Radhashtami, very special day. And so we are planning to take a coach. And if you are interested to join us, please come and see me, or Radha Vinod Prabhu, or Rajkumar Govinda. So there will be a charge. We will let you know how much it would be little later once we get a quote from the travel agent. It's 4th September, London Rath Yatra. If you are willing to come, please let us know.
So temple program is usual.
Yeah.
Don't prefer to go. We are celebrating Radha. So don't think
He's our festival in charge, so he's doing his job.
So those who are not going in, please come and attend Radhashtami here in the temple.
Hare Krishna. Okay, now we'll do a standing up kirtan, Hari Bol, for 30 minutes.
As in, will it interfere with them going there, being here?
Interfere, but those who are interested, you can say.
Hare Krishna, everyone. For those of you interested in Maharaj's books, we're just in the room opposite, so we'd love to see you there, and we look forward to seeing you. Hare Krishna.
जय श्री कृष्णा चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंदा श्री अद्वैत गदाधार शिवासादि गौर भक्त वृंदा। बोलिए जय श्री कृष्णा चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंदा श्री अद्वैत गदाधार शिवासादि गौर भक्त वृंदा। जय श्री कृष्णा चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंदा श्री अद्वैत गदाधार श्रीवासादि गौर भक्त वृंदा। बोलिए बोलिए भाई बोलिए। जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंदा श्री अद्वैत गदाधार श्रीवासादि गौर भक्त वृंदा। हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे। हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे। What are you guys doing? You guys need to listen carefully. Listen carefully and then repeat what I'm chanting, okay? Please listen carefully. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Better. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, राम राम हरे 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 Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare, Hare Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare, Hare Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Rama Rama Hare Hare, medium. Hare Krishna You don't know it? Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare, Hare What are you saying? Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare. Hey, what are you singing? Hare. Something wrong. Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare Krishna Krishna Hare Hare. Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Ram 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 Hare Hare. Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Ram 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 Hare Hare. Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Ram 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 Hare Hare. Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram 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 Hare Hare. Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Ram Hare Hare. Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram 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 Hare Hare. Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Ram Hare Hare. Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Rama Hare Hare. Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Rama Hare Hare. Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Rama Hare Hare. Hare Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Ram Rama Hare Hare. Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Hare Rama Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram 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 Hare Hare. Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. I got it. Jaya Prabhupada, Jaya Prabhupada, Jaya Prabhupada, Jaya Prabhupada. Prabhupada, 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 Jaya Jaya Prabhupada. Nitai Guru Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Nitai Guru Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Nitai Guru Hari Bol. Bola, bola, Hari Bol, Hari Bol. Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Hari Bol. Ita Gaura Premanande. Prashadam is so next door in the garden, but before we do that, we'll do Prashadam prayer. Mahaprasade Govinde Nama Brahman Vishnave Swapapunatam Rajan Vishwasuni Vrajate Arirar Vidyal Jariyata Hekal Jivefale Vishagare Sarmadhirayati Lobham Surmati Tak Jatina Samsare Krishna Bada Jai Kauri Bari Divajai Swaprasadana Dilabha Chayana Pao Radha Krishna Gunga Prema Chaitanya Nitai Nimai Jai Nitai Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Advaita Gadadhara Shiva Sadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama Rama Hare Hare. Jai Sri Prasad Mahaprasad ki Prashadam in the garden. Haribo. Also, please have an announcement for the devotees who are staying behind to decorate the temple. Any hand? Any show? Does anyone would like to volunteer? One. You got one. Haribo. Okay. Anyone else who would like to decorate the temple for Janmashtami later on? Okay, Prabhuji. Just come in the front and show me your faces. Come on. Bhakti is okay. Bhakti is there. Who else? Okay. Whoever wants to join, just please in the front. Mona me to count on you? Help in decoration. 1 hour. Okay. Who's there? कौन है? You would like, okay, Mataji, you would like to 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Okay. Suvidha is gone. Suvidha can count on you. Okay, brilliant. Mataji, you and Mona is okay. Fine. We've got plenty. We've got plenty. Thank you, devotees. Hari. After Prashad, whoever's waiting, just come here, and then first eat food, then we'll do it. Okay. Haribo.